I've trained calisthenics for 10 years. I've solely focused on strength. But what's on the other side? What can we learn from endurance? This is my journey to running a 70-kilometer ultramarathon in Japan. Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 65 of Road to Shimanami, and today I ran back to work after running home from work yesterday evening, and I went a bit faster than usual, even though my legs were feeling heavy and tired. They were feeling like just lead. They weren't moving at all. But in the end, I did manage to squeeze out a fast kilometer, or relatively fast, 4 minutes 30, which it's not very fast, but given the conditions and how I'm feeling, I'm quite happy because guess what? At the moment, I'm no longer doing just the bare minimum 10 kilometers a day. Over the past couple of weeks, I've always been, hitting between 80 and 90 or almost 100 kilometers every week. So yeah, I'm feeling the fatigue, and that's also noticeable in the leg training because guess what? Last time, I think on Saturday, I was doing some Nordic rolls, and for the first time, I wasn't able to do the Nordic rolls anymore. So does that mean that my strength dropped just in an instant? No, of course not. But what it does mean is that in an instant, the fatigue has taken over because guess what? In my calves, especially, I am feeling just general pain from the fatigue, right? And so it's way more difficult to basically put out your strength if you're not feeling fatigued, or if you are feeling fatigued. In the running as well, I feel tired constantly, so it's difficult to put out explosive power. Like a fast kilometer is very difficult, and it's the same thing in strength. You're trying to put out a lot of power at the same time, but just the fatigue is preventing you from doing so. And that's something that you will notice, if you run longer distances, I guess. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth it anymore to try and maintain your current strength, because guess what? Of course, due to the fatigue, I'm not going to be able to do those Nordic rolls fully anymore, but I am still able to do the assisted version, and by doing so, I am maintaining that strength in the background, even though I'm not able to output it at the moment, or I will maintain it for the most part. So don't get discouraged when you focusing on certain goals, and then you see other areas, growing a bit weaker. That's normal, but it's gonna go the most weak or the weakest if you don't try to maintain it at all. So even if you're, going back a little bit in progress, it doesn't matter, right? Because if you were to do nothing at all, you would go weaker way faster. So in a sense, holding back that growing weak process is still progress, I guess, if you get what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm gonna do the usual leg day today, which is 3 sets of pistol squats on each leg. I am gonna go for the 30 kilos I usually do, so let's see how that goes. And yeah, on part 2, we can see what the what the Nordic curl brings today. But I don't expect a lot because guess what? The pain is still there in the side of my calf. All right. Okay, so these pistol squats are still feeling better than expected, which I'm very happy about, of course. The only thing that's really bothering me is the pain in the side of my calf, which is from overuse. But in the end of this training, I'll give a quick tip on how you can basically treat your running aches. And not only your running aches, I think in general, if you have like a weird feeling in some body part from training too much, perhaps you're doing the planche and you're feeling some pain in your elbow or your forearm or your biceps or whatever. In the end, I will show a bit of a method which has been working wonders for me in running. So yeah, let's go. First of all, some Nordic curls. So I'm gonna do the assistant variant, perhaps some extra reps, maybe 6 reps instead of 5. But anyways, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna focus on not destroying my calf too much. Let's go. Fuck yes. Okie dokie, so on that last set, I was able to do some Nordic curls, and the reason I was able to do that was usually in a Nordic curl, what you want to do is you want to have your feet tight and hook basically your heels around this part here, because if you can hook further, the Nordic curl is going to feel easier. It allows you to use your calves more. However, it also puts a lot of pressure on your calves, and for me, this spot here, well, actually, on the other side, there's like a muscle here, I don't know the name, but that's the one that is sensitive for me at the moment. So I was putting pressure on that muscle. It resulted in pain, not allowing me to use my strength. Like I said, you don't lose strength overnight, but you can become fatigued overnight, and that's oftentimes where the difference is. But by basically hooking my heels a bit lower, I was able to avoid that spot, and now I had to use more of my hamstring, but still, because I didn't have any pain in my calves, I was able to actually use my calves more than, if I were to have the stairs here, if I were to hook a bit higher. But that's a very specific solution to a very specific problem. Probably not interesting, but anyway, you probably have these situations as well, where you feel like you have a problem and no one else has the problem. And guess what? If you stop training, if you stop or if you give up on whatever exercise you're doing, you're not gonna find out the solution. But if you can keep going, if you can keep being consistent in the bit of sucky times, I will say, then eventually you're gonna find a solution, and it's gonna result in gains not only right now, right, when you're feeling like a bit tired or injured or whatever the hell, but also in the future, because you're building a bigger base of knowledge which will allow you to, you know, traverse more options. You will have more options to make gains in the future. Anyway, I'm not here just sitting for no particular reason, speaking about the painful part in my calf. That's what I'm gonna treat now. Actually, I think in order to show it, I should sit like this. But basically, the way I've been treating my little running aches, which trust me, I've had them constantly over the past couple months. I upped my volume, I doubled my running volume overnight. Of course, it's going to happen. I don't recommend that, by the way, but I did it. And now I'm dealing with the consequences. But whether it's running or it's a calisthenics injury, whatever injury you have, one of the first and most important steps for me at the moment, which I always try to do, is to trigger the point of pain. You want to get blood into the painful area, because getting blood into the area will, allow the bad stuff in the area to flow out, the inflammation and stuff like that. And it will allow the good parts to flow in, nutrients and stuff in order to heal. So it's very important to, get that blood into the area. And in order to do so, you want to basically, first of all, pinpoint which muscle or whatever, or tendon or whatever is hurting, and then you want to target it. So for me, this part here is hurting. So I want to do this movement because I know I looked this up already. It's not the first time I have this. I know that moving my feet sideways to the outward position is going to trigger that area and get blood into it. It's going to allow me to make the area burn. When your area is burning, that's a pump. It's getting blood into it, so that's what you want. For the forearm, let's say your forearm here is hurting, you can basically target it by doing some forearm movements, right? You want to just feel a pump in the painful area. And then afterwards, you want to stretch. And basically, by treating my injuries like this, high rep, I try to do like 25 to 50 reps, and then I feel a burn, right? That's kind of the target you want. And you don't have to care about making the exercise heavy. In fact, you should care about making the area pumped with as little energy as possible, right? And then I do that once, then I stretch afterwards for about 30 to 60 seconds, and then I just leave it. I do this, I guess, on average once a day. Sometimes I will only do the stretching. Some days I will do it twice, once in the morning, once in the evening. But this has really been able, like, if I'm able to get blood into the area and then stretch it, then oftentimes, the injury will just heal. And of course, afterwards, you can still focus on more strengthening. But this is the first step to treating little injuries, at least for me. This is what I've been using. So, yeah, I'm going to do this as well. And then that's going to be it for today. So, I'm going to say goodbye already because after this, I'm just going to head straight to dinner. Well, I'm going to cook some chicken. Let's go.